Ladies, gentlemen, and residents of North Dakota, thank you for joining us yet again. We're back at it at another bracket breakdown episode of Season 1. This is Smash Bros. Characters. What Smash Bros. Characters are we going to be discussing today? I have no idea. Let me watch the outro of last episode where I did say, oh yeah, that's right, it was Fox and Ganondorf. Guys, who do we think is better? Helping me find out who is better, we have Patnat, D-Bird, and Gold Guy 8, and cannot forget Pandemonious.
You cannot forget it. That would never happen.
It's been a few months.
Alright, so what were the characters?
Ganondorf and Fox.
Ganondorf and Fox, okay.
James McCloud and Ganon.
See, like, looking at all of them on the list, I feel like initially this is the hardest one for me.
Really?
Because I feel like neither of these guys are like so much front runners for me, but they're like both secondary characters that I have a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
With regards to Fox, I do think it's worth noting that he's been in every Smash game, but also more Smash games than not Smash games, as he's been like considered highest tier for like competitive play or whatnot. And you know, any character that facilitates a really high skill ceiling or whatnot, I feel like deserves some kind of credit for that. And also, with regards to representation, while Star Fox isn't like such a big series right now, it definitely was more back in the day. You know, Star Fox 64 sold a decent amount of copies to the N64, and then ever since, they haven't really fully gotten back their height. But of course, Ganondorf is from Zelda, and Zelda.
So I think there's two ways you can look at this. If you love yourself, you play as Ganondorf. If you hate yourself, you play as Fox.
Whoa, that was.
If you care about your mental health, you play as Ganondorf.
You have something to say about melee players.
If you don't care about yourself or your mental health, you play as Fox.
I mean, some could argue that's
what it is.
That's a good thing.
You hear the memes, it's like Fox versus Fox, Final Destination, no items.
But you're also God tier at the same moment, you know? It's like you've ditched all that's not important and you focus on the qualities of Fox. As you can tell, I'm pro Fox. I think he counts as a couple people because there's Red Boots Fox, alright? Which is iconic. I think the red boots that Fox wears could be the mascot for Smash Bros. So, just saying, that's so crucial.
To be fair, Ganondorf's got crappy costume changes. It's just like his hair color changes sometimes.
And honestly,
slightly
one of the worst like customization options in that whole game. However, that does not mean he's a bad character. Just
no, we're not saying he's a bad character. We're saying better. Which one's better, right? He is a ripoff of Captain Falcon, which is a bummer, you know.
I mean, that is a fair point. His
moveset off of the base character model that they made for the game. Excuse you.
Well, and his side Bs, and his down Bs, and his Bs.
I mean, it's to be fair though. Like in Melee, he was very, very similar to Captain Falcon, but in now modern games, like he's really gotten a lot of his own they've moves and stuff like that. Yeah. Really, the only stuff that transfers is a lot of his utility moves, like his B sideways is all his specials, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look, you know, his neutral A is the same thing, or sorry, not neutral A. Well, yeah, neutral A and
neutral A is
neutral air.
Well, I mean, like
then,
saying a punch is the same as a punch. It's like, well, yeah, but
I
that's
know, but it's the same movement. I imagine an MMA fighter would be like, oh yeah, that's the scissor kick or whatever. You know, it's like
that's fair.
It's the same things, and then up B's still the same. The only thing that's actually different, I'd say, is forward air, because Falcon has the Destiny, and then well, yeah, that's
you know what's interesting? I'd actually make the argument that Ganondorf better represents the character from the series than Fox does. Like the amount of like Easter eggs or whatnot and references in Ganondorf is a lot more built up than Fox, and that's mostly because Fox also, like Captain Falcon, spends most of his time in a ship. You know, the only really like land fare that happens is is from Star Fox Adventures, which a lot of people don't talk about. And then there's also Assault,
one of the best games.
Which again, not a ton of people talk about. Assault is one of the best Star Fox games, I'd argue, yes. Although, you know, Fox's like reflecting thing, that's not in any kind of game, and that's one of his staple moves, right? While I feel like there's something to, I'm not saying that's like a knock against him, But I think that there's something to appreciate with Ganondorf, where like even when they introduce his sword in the most recent edition, that's something directly from Twilight Princess or whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And like even his final smash is like the Ganon Beast, which has appeared in almost the same amount of games as Ganondorf himself.
That's true.
I mean, Fox does have Landmaster, which is also a cool thing, but also freaking annoying when people use it. Which one do you guys think is more easy to learn? Like, what more accessible for new players?
Oh, Ganondorf for sure.
Ganondorf?
Yeah,
I mean,
Fox is a difficult player to be, I think. He falls a million miles an hour.
He's heavy.
It's hard to recover with him.
I think with just how slow Ganondorf is, though, I think that's what makes him difficult for a new player to learn. While Fox, you can actually move across the stage relatively quickly, right? And I feel like anytime you play with a fast character, it kind of immediately becomes, in a way, more accessible, even if the skill ceiling's a lot higher. Maybe the case is different in Melee when everything's so amped up you want to start slow, but in most Smash games, I'd actually probably say Ganondorf, I'd probably say Ganondorf is less easy to learn than
I disagree.
I think Fox takes longer to master, but I don't know. But also, which one's more fun to fight against? Fox
Ganondorf.
or Ganondorf?
Ganondorf's funner to fight against.
Ganondorf for sure.
Fighting against a Fox can be
he's
frustrating.
a slower character, but he's like hard hitting. So you have to like really think about how you're moving. But if you do, then you can get around him. Whereas if you play like a Fox main, they're so fast and they're doing so many different things. And if you hit them, half of this stuff comes back and hits you. You don't really know what you're doing. At least that was my experience because my friend taught me how to play when he was a Fox main, and it was not easy.
Fox, I think I would argue that I was about to make the argument that Fox has a more unique move style, but then I remembered they cloned him twice. So like I can't even say that. Well, because like
What do you mean they've cloned him?
3 times.
well, Falco and Wolf.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So,
It's
like, it's tough to. I was gonna vouch for Fox in saying that like he could be more unique than Ganondorf because a lot of Ganondorf's moves are not only used by Captain Falcon but other characters as well. The side grab or whatnot. I think there's like 2 or 3 other characters who also have that, and even like down B has similar motions in like Bayonetta and whatnot. So.
All right.
However,
I find Cap and Ganondorf to be very similar, but also very unique from everybody else.
Yeah.
Personally.
I would like to
Sure, I can see
point out that if Captain Falcon is the first of his kind and Ganondorf is the second, so is Fox. He is the main of that style, and it was good enough for them to repeat it multiple times. It's also, in a way, like, yes, it's weird to have somebody who's not normally outside of his ship, but in a sense, it's a debut for him because Nintendo doesn't really have a better way to put him there. So it's cool to be able to finally see and move and play as a character like that,
Much like we have to see and move our way into our decision.
You can tie this into your final thoughts
Well,
if you
I
want.
think this is a tough one to judge because it is really like apples and oranges. Like Fox is fast, he's got projectiles, he's a light hitter. Ganondorf's heavy, doesn't have projectiles, and a real heavy hitter. So I think it's just kind of like you got to ask yourself, would Smash be better without Fox or better without Ganondorf? And I think it would be better without Fox.
You sound like you weren't entirely
absolutely.
sure for a second. I'd like to.
So
continue
Ganondorf
on
gets
that.
my vote. Or
Thumbnail.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of follow what Daniel was saying with like this idea of would Smash be better without it or whatnot, but I'm gonna kind of flip it. If I'm talking about like the other series, Zelda or Star Fox, I genuinely think Star Fox is better off because of Smash, because it kind of adapted what Fox's personality would be. They somehow took this Fox person, like, let's make this kind of a cool character who can now deal with ground stuff, and because of that, we've actually been able to see some ground action with like Assault. I want to say, of course, there's also Adventures, but Assault's kind of the good one of the bunch. While Ganondorf, would have been perfectly fine in the other series, and arguably is just as cool either way. So this is really, really tough for me, but I think after talking about it, I think I convinced myself to go with Fox. So yeah, that's my vote. I'm voting Fox.
I would say that Ganondorf and Fox, respective to their series and how the characters are portrayed in them, I would find that Ganondorf is a developed character. However, I don't know too much about Star Fox. I've only played one game, and that was a while ago. But I also use Ganondorf because I mained Captain Falcon, so it's a pretty similar character. So just based off of personal preference, I'm voting Ganondorf.
That's a tie.
Wow.
Well, Trent hasn't gone yet.
Well, yeah, I haven't
Trent
gone
said he
yet.
was pro Fox.
Definitely
You could change,
Fox.
that's
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely still Fox. Again, he's like a staple of the game in a sense. Same with like Captain Falcon. Like I feel like you can't really have the game without it, and it might be one of the characters that first created that really competitive, fast-paced Smash that's like classic Melee. So I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That is
I
a
also
good
don't
point,
like melees, so that's why I'm voting against.
All right, that's up to
So,
Spots then, man.
Spots.
All right, so when I was casted for this position, I was supposedly the mediator, to where I would judge the arguments over the merits of the character. And I feel like when I'm listening to you guys debate over which one's the better character, I can tell that Pat is definitely more motivated around like influence outside of Smash Bros, outside of the game. Meanwhile, other people like Daniel and Panda are more like, in terms of Smash Bros, intrinsically, like, you know, in the game. But Trent did bring up a really good point that I am going to emphasize. That I'll state this by saying that I think that my reasoning is while Pat is like outside of the game, Panda's inside the game. I think that my reasoning would be more historic, and more historically motivated. And when I think of Fox, and yes, he was cloned 3 times, but is that Fox's fault for being cloned, for having clones? Meanwhile, Ganon was a clone of Captain Falcon. I think the Fox. I think originally when Fox was in the game, his formula, he created it basically. The formula, it worked and it stuck. So I think that for that reason, and just out of iconicness alone, Fox gets my vote.
That's fair. I mean,
Good man.
I would have been fine if Ganondorf won too. You know,
does
these
that
are both
mean
strong
Panda
candidates.
and I are voted off the
They are.
show.
Yeah, you guys have
No.
to leave the island.
They are both such good characters. It's hard to see them part. You know.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, if Ganondorf would have won, I'd be like,
bring me
all
a
right, that's
torch.
cool. Fox is gonna make some progress in the losers bracket. You know, like, I could have gone either way, honestly. I was really not sure going in. I had to convince myself as to what I was going with, but you know. Hey, what are we talking about next time, Spots?
Great. Glad you asked. Next time, you should probably watch our show next time, actually, because we will be talking about Mario or the Pokemon Trainer. Which was better? Which one is, you know, better? So that's what we're going to be talking about in the next show. Remember to smash like ring bell. And of course, in the comments, the comments section, we have one. Tell us what you thought about our discussion. Tell us what you think. Any points that we did not bring up. And we thank you for joining us on this episode.